excuse me if I seem a little out of it or whatever. I just had a stressful ride on the highway coming from Berwyn to make it here on time. I was at a funeral for the husband of one of my former students, deaf students from 1970s, and he died of melanoma. It was kind of sad. They had 2 little girls. But anyway, I'm also stressed out because I don't sleep well at night, because I worry about losing my house, which, by the way, I paid cash for, a mansion, which I call Uncle Stanley's house. I moved here, I bought the house in 2012. My mother was dying. She was in her late 90s. For 3 years, she started losing more and more of her faculties and, functions more than her faculties. We played Scrabble up until she was 98. But anyway, I used Uncle Stanley's money, her brother, to buy this house to be closer to her because I was driving back and forth a 100-mile trip from Plainfield, but not real Plainfield, it was the Joliet section. And anyway, yesterday I went to the school board meeting. If I'm all over the place, it's because my mind is just, traveling around here. For 161 to complain to them about the fact that I want you all to see me because I feel screwed. I feel screwed by your taxes for schools. Number one, and they actually told me, if you don't like it, move. If you were dumb enough to buy a house without knowing what the taxes were. But during the time my mother was dying for 3 years, she had 2 heart attacks, driving back and forth 50 miles one way, 100 miles, almost daily sometimes. It was hard on an old lady. So, I bought this house, and the reason I bought this particular house I bought was because I was looking for a townhouse that was new, that didn't have animals or smokers in it, because I have emphysema. In the 70s, they put me in these schools that had asbestos in the ceiling, and I was too stupid to, know about it. But anyway, so I bought this house here in Frankfurt, and lo and behold, I find all these problems going on. Oh, in fact, maybe this coach can have my house when I lose it for a tax lien. Now, I used Uncle Stanley's money to buy the house. He was a Notre Dame graduate, engineer, never married, never had kids, like myself. And he lived frugally and invested wisely. And so I was able to buy cash because I didn't want my house in J.P. Morgan stock, because they were part of the people that, to me, helped cause the financial crisis. So the other school board, they practically told me to get off the, podium. I mean, from their stares and the guys' comments to me about, if you don't like it, move. Well, you know what? Last night I was thinking about my options. I could either wait maybe 10 years before the money I get as a retired teacher, 33 years, and more than 33 years, where my pension, and they're always fighting about pensions, with a master's degree, all 33 and third years, from the same school Nancy Reagan graduated, Barbara Bush was a dropout, Roosevelt women went there. Okay, my highest salary, and I had 56 hours over my master's in the interim, $35,932.96. And I'm reading on the internet when I moved here that the average salary, or income rather, in Frankfurt was $92,000. It's now $110,000. Why is it my obligation to pay for public schools, period, when I have no children and was not educated in a public school system? And they say, well, take that up with the state or the federal government. So my other option is death, if I still own a rope, because that's the way slaves normally died, by hanging, or I have the option of possibly getting a lawsuit, if I could find an honest lawyer that I could afford, to sue the local, state, and federal government, because I feel like that is not my obligation. When you procreate, you engender certain responsibilities. You engender housing, food, schooling, and the necessities of life. And I think a lot of school districts are bankrupt because of what's going on with this immigration problem. My relatives came here.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, thank you.
I could take things that came up, and I'm not cherry picking here, but I wanted at least some very quick questions, quick answers I can give you. Kathy, you brought up about the procedure to get something listed on a school board meeting. I thought actually you were the one I sent it to. I apologize, it was probably somebody else. I'd be happy to forward that on to you. It's actually in our procedures, in our board policy manual. And Jay brought up about 191st. I can tell you since I've been on the board, that property has been under contract more often than it's been off contract. We have had multiple different bidders, multiple different people going. That is not always disclosed directly to the public, and that is due to the fact that it is a real estate deal, and it actually would hurt the deal and hurt the district if we disclose what we're negotiating. It does not mean that the actual deal is done in closed doors. That is always in public, in open session in the public. But we would love to be able to sell 191st. We have yet to find a buyer who would take it. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. I'd like a motion to approve the April 14th, 2016 regular meeting minutes, April 12th, 2016 special meeting minutes, and April 20th, 2016 special meeting minutes, approval of the April 20th and May 5th, 2016 payrolls, and approval of the March 8th, 2016 District 210 Advisory Committee meeting minutes. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion.
Discussion on the April 20th special meeting minutes. Under Section E, closed section, under the last sentence, I arrived at 6 p.m. that evening.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
I do have one on the April 14th minutes, under the financial update, about 9 rows down. It says, it was determined that all bond proceeds and investment earnings for refunding and non-refunding purposes were deposited into the district's bank account. That refunding should be taken out of that, so it should just read for non-refunding purposes. The refunding went into the escrow accounts.
Okay.
That's what was discussed.
Thank you.
So we'll accept those with the changes. All those in favor, or can we get a roll call, Sue, please?
Mr. Kozel?
Aye.
Mr. Lulo?
Aye.
Mr. Lucetti?
Aye.
Mrs. Molinari?
Aye. Awards, presentations, and recognition, please.
Yes, at your places tonight, you have the Art and Literary Magazine. I just want to highlight a few things for you in there. And then very quickly go through a few things that were happening as we begin to wrap up the year. But this Art and Literary Magazine is a contribution of about 70 kids from all of our high schools. Their names are in the front. They're art students, they're creative writing students. This is as fine a publication as you'll see anywhere. I want to just be able to show the folks out there and point out some to you that these are some central drawings. We look at this and you know, some of those are by freshmen and sophomores and juniors. I mean, freshmen are 14, 15 years old. Some of the work they do in here is absolutely amazing. There's some kids from North, the pencil drawing, and we also have a jewelry class that's been going on here for 40 years. And what they do is very intricate, very detailed. That's a freshman. I cannot believe that's a drawing, and remarkable. And Madison Glatt's a freshman over at Lincoln Way East. Has a couple of poems in there that are fantastic. Another freshman at West, and a junior at West. And a really nice collection of just various things that you find in here. It's just about every medium that you can offer. So sometimes it's acrylics, it's traditional painting, sometimes it's watercolor. A lot of times now they're weaving the technology in. It's graphics and online creation, but what our kids do is fantastic. So we're going to put this online so everybody can have a copy of this accessible through through our website, and that'll happen sometime in the next week. But this is as good a product as we've had. So a few other pieces I wanted to share with you. We always wrap up the year with all of our department chairs from the buildings coming together, and we start to set vision for next year and what they need. I wanted to just share with you some of the things that are coming up in a few contexts. So we ask them to come in and say, what do you need in technology, professional development? What are we behind on? And we've sent our department chairs out all year. Go visit another school for half a day. Go see what they're doing. Get some ideas. Come back and tell us what we're missing for our kids. And so these are just some of the examples that are there. Individual devices for every teacher. Through that grant that Amy was able to secure this year, we'll have 100 provided from the federal title funds, 110 devices that'll go right in the hands of teachers that they can use at home, they can use for projection units at school. Our goal is to put in that request every year, over 4 years, that every teacher has it. Doesn't cost the district anything. It's chasing down money that's out there now. Since we hit the watch list, things have changed that way. Teacher access to things like ZipGrade and Notability. The teachers are really on the cutting edge with doing things digitally, certainly more than I am. So we send them out, they find it, they bring it back. We'll have Notability for most of our teachers next year. A lot of them already use ZipGrade, which is just a quick scan of a Scantron. You don't even need to run it through a machine anymore, and off they go. So pretty remarkable. 3 and 4, I think, are very significant. Gmail and Google World. This is a place we have to move into. It doesn't have to be Google Drive, but the ability of kids to drop things into a Dropbox that teachers can pull in, put comments on, and go back there. It's not a high cost. We just have to decide as a district which way we're going to go. Dr. Murphy's all over that. He's got a really good 5-year plan, and I think within the next 2, we'll start to see some things. And almost every chair we've talked to has highlighted number 4. We're moving toward a one-to-one world. Is this a good thing? One of the strengths of this district, and I bet almost every parent and almost every student would tell you, it's the personal interaction with the teachers on a day-to-day basis. You have to be careful when you go to a one-to-one where everything's done online. Sometimes you lose that power of a teacher working with kids. So I'd encourage us to move in that direction slowly, and it's what's here. It's what a lot of districts are doing. Our faculty is still our heartbeat here, so we want to stay with that. As far as an assessment update, very quickly, park testing it's probably here for 2 more years, but it may be gone in 2018. So I'm really glad we didn't throw ourselves fully into that boat. And our kids tested well. We didn't have any disruptions, very few opt-outs. It was fantastic. The technology was good, but because it doesn't count for a college, it really doesn't mean anything for a family. That's not one we're going to emphasize. We do what we do. So SAT, ACT. One day in May next week, every biology student will take a mandated science test. It's online. It's going to be done right in biology class. It's 50 minutes, so we don't have to disrupt class as we had to do with Park. So that's not so bad. And we heard a lot of thank yous from parents about allowing the kids to have that free ACT. We added up some numbers. 34 students earned scores of 30 or higher that did not have them before that test. It gets back to what Dr. Tingley said about home field or home court advantage. Kids that had a 26 got a 31. We had one young lady that got a 19 because she was so nervous the first time, took it with us and got a 27. And those kind of stories came out. So thank you for supporting that. And then as far as the future goes, the SAT, the PSAT, Illinois is going to be an SAT state is what they tell us. That doesn't mean anything to us because until they pay for it, we're not going to go back in that boat next year. It was great for the ACT this year. But unless they're going to give a free SAT, we're not going to ask every student to take an SAT and an ACT when you don't need them both. And so here's the future. Illinois may provide a free SAT next year. If they do, great. We'll prep our kids for it either way. But we don't want to test all kids on that practice SAT in the fall. And I know that's something I think was forwarded to you, considering maybe putting an assessment fee in. And I just don't think there's a need for that at this point. The PSAT is a scholarship program designed for the top 1% of students in the country. It'd be a nice practice SAT if we were sure the state was going to start judging us and kids on that. But while that's up in the air, I'm not sure that's a place we need to go. So that's the assessment piece. And then the last piece is the best. The AP update, we've talked to you all year about one of our goals, one of the ones you gave us last year. increased the AP standing and AP involvement. There's the total students from last year to this year at East. 468 students took AP tests. This year at 671, 42% increase. And I'll show you in a minute why this is so significant. Number one, huge opportunities for kids, but also when we miss, when all 4 of our schools haven't hit that U.S. News and World Report piece, this is it. We hit every other criteria, but we don't have high enough participation. We knocked it out of the park this year at all the schools. There was North, went from 278 to 388, 40% increase in test takers. There's West, went up 42%. And Central, with a really high push from the AP psychology teachers especially, went up 69%. So the schools, percentage-wise now, are pretty equal. When we look at what that's going to mean down the line, and be remiss if I didn't say congratulations to East, that was mentioned as one of the top schools in the country because of this. But here's where it was. Everything was fairly even in terms of graduation rate, everything they look at. East last 2 years ago, we're always 2 years behind on these rankings. East had 40% of their graduating seniors take an AP test. North had 30, Central 29, West 24. That was 2 years ago. The national ranking factors, students perform better than the Illinois state average. Disadvantaged minority students perform above the average. Graduation rate over 88%, we're up to 97. So all 3 of those are check marks to get on that recognition list. What we didn't have in the past is that college readiness index, which just means how many kids are taking AP tests. That's what they look at. So that was last year, or 2 years ago, and this year all of our schools will be between 55 and 60% of our seniors will have had an AP test experience. I wish this came out next year, but this is going to be the year after. Now, we got a nice bump again last year, but this year was the big one. So bodes really well for the future. We should have a lot of recognition coming our way, and very, very proud of the teachers for making that happen.
Great, thanks. Thank you, Tim. Mr. Rice. Student council?
With the end of the year quickly approaching, our student council is preparing for next year. We are planning a college day for all seniors on May 19th to sport the apparel of their new college or university. On top of that, our members will be working the tables for class selections. In order to have an easy and fair transition for next year, our sponsors have been working with Lincoln Way East sponsors to best accommodate the students joining us, while changing the structure of our student council to make it more welcoming for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
East Student Council had an overall fantastic year. Exec finished off last Monday with our annual framing dinner, where each member invited a teacher or coach and gave a short speech on the positive impact that they had on their life. It was a beautiful evening. Also, we just had our elections and we'll be electing our new exec board next Wednesday. And while I'm sad that this year has come to a close, I am excited to see the creative new ideas that next year will bring. I would like to thank you for this opportunity. It has truly been my pleasure to represent East Student Council President.
Thank you.
As Lincoln Way North school year comes to a close, Lincoln Way North also hosted elections for the student council. We worked with Lincoln Way East to expand the number of students that are allowed to be elected for each level. So there will be 15 members from North and 15 members from East to accommodate the excess students so that everyone has a chance to participate next year. And also there will be co-presidents and co-vice presidents and etc. I would like to congratulate Kylie Mead and Teddy Trost for taking president and vice president, and they will be representing us at East next year. Furthermore, this has been a great year, and I would like to thank our sponsor, Jason Pearson, and our principal, Mark Cohen, for an amazing year. Thank you.
Thank you. All 3 of you, I would like to say a few words to you. Matt, Kaylee, and Rose. You have done a phenomenal job this year with grace and poise, speaking in front of such a large audience, so we really appreciate that. We know you're going to go on to do great things, and if you could just let us know where you're going. Matthew, where are you going next year?
I will be attending the University of Iowa.
Studying?
I'm going into their business school, undecided.
So Matt Cook is going to the University of Iowa studying business. Good job, Matthew.
I'll be attending Indiana State University
I'll be attending St. Mary's College of Notre Dame studying nursing.
Thank you, Molly. Presentation of outstanding invoices. Motion, please.